Psalm 121 and verse 7. Everybody. Can we read verse 7 together after the count of 2? 1 to go. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. Preserve thy soul. Let's take it one again. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. Walking in preservation. We handled the first phase of impact for the whole month of January. We had demystifying and decifying impact. And now impact affects the child of God, and how the desire of every believer should be how to make impact. You are not created or born to this world to be a non-entity that can be brushed aside. You are not an explanation. You are not a generational mistake. You are not an accident looking for where to happen. You are a child born in a deliberate season to change your world. You are a child that was born at such a time as this to put relevance to your generation. The Bible says, city set upon a hill cannot be hidden. In other words, God likens you to a city. If God calls you a city, don't die a village. If God calls you a nationality, don't die a community. God calls you a city. You are not a non-entity. You are not a nobody that can be ignored. You are not one that can be relegated. You are one that was born to break protocol and circumvent process. Am I talking to somebody right now? Whether the devil likes it or yes, you will make impact. But it's important this morning that we understand preservation. That in this world of wickedness, in this world of iniquity, the greatest need of man is security. The greatest need of man in the world of hostility, brutality, is security. Every nation budgets billions for defense. Every nation budget billions for security. Every president, every governor is given a certain amount of allocation. It is called security vote. And that security vote, they don't question or ask him how he spends it, because nobody can overspend for security. Am I talking to somebody here? The greatest need of man is security. As you are planning to go to school, as you are planning to get married, as you are planning to raise children, as you are planning to start business, you need to be alive to achieve those plans. The strength of every nation is in its armories. The other time, the former president of America was talking to King Jong-un, the man that is he a king or a president? I don't know what they call him. Is he a king or a president? Leader. Yes, that's what they call him. Leader was talking to the leader of North Korea, and he said to the man, he said, we just spent $2 trillion in buying some new warfare equipment, and we would like to test them. Dare me. He said, we bought them. We have not tested them since we bought them. This will be a good opportunity to test them. Try me. What was the capacity and the velocity, the stamina on which he was talking? Was his security. Nigeria was called the giant of Africa. Many years ago, in the midst of the war in Liberia, Nigeria, that has not secured itself, sent soldiers, ECOMOG soldiers to Liberia because they want to play big brother. Security is essential. They went to Liberia, and we are playing big brother in Liberia. Recently, in the midst of kidnapped people, children were kidnapped here. In the midst of kidnapped children, we had our leadership go to Mali to go and settle their war. And actually, everybody tries to play big brother for security. Am I communicating? So you cannot live life without security. God has to preserve you from 5 things or 4 things in life. Number 1, God has to preserve you from your enemies. Number 2, God has to preserve you from your friends. You didn't hear that? God has to preserve you from your enemies. God has to preserve you from your friends. God has to preserve you from yourself. There are some of us, if not divine intervention, the way we are going, we will hurt ourselves. There are some marriages you are about to enter, and God knows this marriage will cost you pain, and you are going in with so much emotion. God hurts you. It's better you cry today, and you are in peace tomorrow. God preserves you from your enemies. God preserves you. God preserves you from your friends. God preserves you from yourself. And God preserves you from life in general. Because there are arrows that will come. They don't come from your friends. They don't come from your enemies. They don't come from yourself. They come from life. From situations that will suddenly arise. From high waters and high mountains. Things that you never predicted. Things that you never expected. Things that you never insinuated. They will just rise. Am I talking to somebody here? In Genesis 45 verse 5 and verse 7, I like what Joseph said. He said, God has sent me. Genesis 45 5 and 7, God has sent me ahead to preserve your life. The Bible says, Psalm 16 and verse 1, in thee, O Lord, do I put my trust. He said, thou shalt preserve me from evil. In Psalm 32 and verse 7, the Bible says, God shall preserve us from the fear of the enemy. In Psalm 64 and verse 1, he said, God shall preserve us. In 2 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 18, the Bible says, God Almighty shall preserve us from every evil work and preserve us. He shall keep us from every evil work and preserve us up to his heavenly kingdom. God is a preserver. Listen to me, child of God. In this world we live in, there are human animals. There are lions prowling. There are human animals. No wonder Daniel said in Daniel 6:22, he said to the king, the Lord has sent his angels to preserve me. We live in a generation of human animals. What some people have in their heart is the heart of a lion. They have the face of a man, have the heart of a lion. They have the blood of a viper. They have the mentality of a tiger. They have the reasoning of a leopard. All wild animals encompassed in one. They are ready to tear and to devour. You need God to go ahead of them, to preserve and to keep you. Nobody's following what I'm saying this morning. Nobody's following what I'm saying. God has to do it urgently. He doesn't have to waste time. The Bible says, 1 Samuel 21 verse 8, the king's business requires haste. God has to do it urgently. Heaven has to do it swiftly. You have to be preserved. You have to be sustained. You have to be protected. The hand of God has to come upon you. The hand of God has to keep you. The hand of God has to sustain you. The hand of God has to mold you. The hand of God. Preservation is exemption from aggression. Preservation is exemption from aggression. Preservation is prevention from when God decides to keep you from expiring. The preservation is uncommon escape from wickedness. When God brings you out, provides a way. So preservation can also be called escape. Can also be called escape. Can also be called escape. In Job chapter 1 verse 15. Job chapter 1 verse 16. Job chapter 1 verse 17. Job chapter 1 verse 19. When Job had an outburst, there were different servants that came to him. One will come and say, this happened to your family, but I alone am escaped to tell you. The other comes and said, this happened to your family, I alone am escaped to tell you. The other comes and said, this happens to you, I alone am escaped to tell you. Am I speaking to somebody here? In 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 38, the Bible says that there is no temptation that has seized you except that which is common to man. 1 Corinthians 10:13. There's no 1 Corinthians 10. There's no temptation that has seized you except that which is common to man. But God, in that temptation, he will provide a way of escape so that you may be able to escape that temptation. In Psalm 124 and verse 7, he said, our soul is escaped as a bird out of the snare of the fowler. The snare is broken and we have Shatamande. Escape is possible. To be exempted is a possibility. What take others can't take you. What took others can't take you. You can be preserved. You can be sustained. God can go ahead of you and bring you out of trouble. I like what the angel said unto the people in the time of Noah in Genesis 17:19. Escape for your life. Escape for your family. Escape for your children. Escape for your future. Escape for your job. Escape for your tomorrow. Escape for your life. My God is about to provide escape. Where men thought it's finished with you, when men thought it's over, when they God is about to embarrass them. He said they shall surely gather, but not by me, but as many as gather together against you, they shall fall for your sake. For I've created the smith that blow the coast to the fire. I'm quoting from Isaiah 54 from verse 15 to 17. I have created the waster to destroy, so therefore no weapon formed against thee shall prosper, but every tongue that rise up in judgment thou shalt condemn. For this is the heritage of the servants of God, and their righteousness is of me. You shall escape. There are lions everywhere, looking for who to tear, looking for who to eat up. Oh, there are some of us, God is even preserving us from ourselves. Do you know it was what the prodigal son's father gave to him that he used to destroy himself? What the prodigal son's father gave to him, that's what he used to destroy himself. Some of you, the beauty God gave to you is what you are using to destroy yourself. The talent God gave to you is what you are using to destroy yourself. Even the anointing God gave to some people is what they are using to destroy themselves. The capacity heaven gave to some people. I was reading my Bible and I said to myself, what kind of father, if your son did all he did and now he's come back home, you should sit down in the house as a father and wait for him to get home before you embrace him. That should teach him a lesson, not to play with a second chance. You are pampering him. And the Lord began to tell me, say, no, that father was a popular man. That father was a wealthy man. What that son did was a taboo in that community. Collecting your father's property, inheritance, even your father was not dead. When the boy was coming, if the father had not gone to him, when the people saw him coming, they would have carried stones to stone and break his head. So the father knew, if I wait and allow this boy get here, he may not get here alive. So he ran and embraced him. So those that took stones said, if the father could forgive him, who are we? If the father could pardon him, who are we? If the father could let him go, who are we? Am I speaking to somebody? Some of you, if they leave your judgment in the hand of men, they will not see any reason for you to be alive, but mercy found you. I say mercy found you. If they leave your judgment in the hand of even your spouse, you may not be alive. Mercy is the emergency exit door from judgment. The emergency exit door. Judgment. Shidogo Baha Aquaquakaka. He looked at the girl. Sam Barakabibo. Esokwatikaya. Hey! Hey! Ooh! Preservation. Preservation is liberation from satanic excesses and demonic harassment. Is liberation from satanic excesses and demonic harassment. That's what preservation is. To be preserved is that God has taken you from the excesses of the devil, from the harassment of hell, from every satanic shenanigan, from anything that raises up his head to confront. God preserves you. God keeps you. God sustains you. Am I talking to somebody here? God knows how to preserve you. He knows how to sustain you. One time I boarded a vehicle. I was coming from Benin to Auchi for a program with the Assemblies of God. And as I was coming, I got into the bus. As I got into the bus, the bus was filled up. The vehicle was filled up. And as we were moving, a vehicle was oncoming. And somebody in front started shouting, "Come down, come down." I was sitting in front with someone. "Come down, come down, come down." I said, "What?" He said, "Come down, come down." He was talking to me, calling my name. And I told the driver, I said, "Stop." The driver said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I want to come down." He said, he laughed. He said, "You are free to come down. I will not refund you 1 naira. You come down, is your own. That's your business. You pay to get to your destination. Now, the person telling me to come down was so dramatic. So, they opened the front car, the seat. I came down, and I went back to the park, asking them, please, where's the bus that just came here? They say, which bus? Is the vehicle you people were in that just left? No bus came in. I said, no. There's a bus that just came in. They said, no vehicle came in, please. So you came down from the car because of that? They say, yes. I said, yes. They were angry and all of that. I stood confused. I had to look for money, raise money to board another vehicle. Waited for almost 2 hours for that one to get filled up. As we were driving, getting close to a or something, I saw the vehicle I was in turned. People were injured, some on the road. The only person that died was the person sitting in that front seat. What did God do for me? Exemption, preservation. Even though I used money for fresh transportation, but my life was preserved. It is an error for what killed a sinner to kill the righteous. It's an error for what took an unbeliever to take a believer. It's an error for where a sinner died, a believer also died. It's an error that what consumed the unrighteous should consume the righteous. It's an error. It's an error that must be corrected. That what swallowed up others will swallow up a child of God. You are a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people. God fall out of darkness to show praise of he that has called you into his marvelous light. It's an error to die like a chicken. It's an error to be wasted. It's an error to be wasted. It's an error to die cheap. It's an error. It's an error for you to die cheap. Die like a chicken. Wherever you are hearing the sound of my voice, anyone or any dimension of hell assigned to take your life, it shall be swallowed up. What killed the unrighteous should not kill the righteous. What killed the sinner should not kill the saint. Am I talking to somebody here? There is something called divine preservation. Don't forget that. There are human lions everywhere. So God will preserve you from your enemies. God will preserve you from your friends. God will preserve you from yourself. Preserve you from life in general. Am I talking to somebody? What are the triggers? What are the key, the virtues that trigger, that sponsors preservation? Number one, intimacy with God. There is a passion you develop for God, and longevity becomes a guarantee. There's a passion you develop for God, and dying like a chicken is not in divine agenda. Intimacy with God is what sponsors generational preservation. Intimacy. The problem with Christians around the world is that we are too casual with God. We are too casual, and casual Christians become Christian casualties. You are too casual, you are too normal, you are too regular. Intimacy is what is lacking in the church. Intimacy, passion for God. Intimacy is the deliberate infusion of terrestriality into celestiality. Is the deliberate infusion of terrestriality into celestiality. When man deliberately enters into divinity. Am I talking to somebody here? Intimacy is a state of being full of God. It's a state of being full of God. Intimacy is the constant, consistent connectivity and cordiality. Constant, consistent connectivity and cordiality of humanity with divinity. Constant, consistent connectivity and cordiality of humanity with divinity. When constantly what your heart panted for, according to Psalm 42 verse 1, what your heart is panting for is connectivity with divinity. As you enter the bathroom, you pray. You enter the toilet, you pray. You are in your car, you pray. You are driving, you pray. I mean, you are Anywhere, you pray. You're in the lecture room, you pray. You're in the banking hall, you pray. Constant cordiality and connectivity with divinity. Am I talking to somebody? Intimacy is the element of saturation and encompassiveness. Saturation and encompassiveness of and totality of divine embodiment in your physical element. Let me say that. It is the saturation and encompassiveness and the totality of divine embodiment in your physical element. The saturation, the encompassiveness, the totality. All right. Intimacy is divine refusal to allow your frailties swallow up your destiny, to allow your natural bodily weakness, your natural elements to swallow up your passion for God. Sir, to be angry at God, there are many things to be angry at God about. To be offended, there are many things, but you have no choice than to be happy with God. If you are angry with him, Bible says you curse him, he kills you. You love him, he blesses you. So you either ways save yourself. He said, woe to him that strives with his maker. Am I talking to somebody here? You see that in the Bible, that it is a state of being passionate. You get to the point when God gives you a blank check. A blank check. 2 Chronicles 1:7, 1 Kings 3:5. Ask what I shall give you. Matthew 7:8. He that asketh receiveth. He that asketh. Psalm chapter 2 verse 8. Ask of me the hidden for thy inheritance, and the uttermost part of the earth for thy possession. Where you get to a point where you have the understanding that you can do all things. Job 42 verse 2. You see, I know that thou can do all things, and nothing can be withholding from thee. Hebrews 7:25. He says he's able to save to the uttermost they that come to God through him, believing that he also liveth to make intercession for them. Philippians 3 verse 20 says that he's able to subdue all things. Am I talking to somebody here? Philippians 3 verse 21 is able to subdue all things. And Ephesians 3 verse 20 says God is able to do exceeding abundantly above all we ask or think, according to the power, according to the dimension. Can we get the message translation of this Ephesians 3:20? I want to see what the message say. Hear this. He said God can do anything, you know, far more than you can ever imagine or guess or request in your wildest dream. He does it not by pushing us around, but by walking within us. His spirit deeply and gently a generation where people will be praying and will be sending text. No passion. If you are praying and you still notice you are sweating, you have not started praying. Praying and using the handkerchief is not prayer. Jesus prayed that the sweat coming from him were like drops of blood, and he was still praying. No passion. A generation that wants so much from God, but they do so little for him. Man is looking for method, but God is looking for men. Bible says Psalm 17:14. Psalm 17:14. He said, man, which are thy hands? Men are the hands of God. Ezekiel 22:30 says, I sought for a man who can stand the gap. Jeremiah 5:1 says, go around the city, seek for a man. God is looking for men. But he will not, no matter how desperate God is for men, he will only use men who are intimate with him. You want to be preserved? Then fall in love with God and be passionate about him. Intimacy. Your intimacy is what gives birth to divine nature inside of you. Intimacy is desperate and deliberate, insatiable desire for God. You just finished 40 days fasting as a ministry. And God looking for somebody that will only rest for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and resume another one. That's passion. That's passion. That's passion. That you have studied the Bible back to back, and you continue. That's passion. That's passion. You cannot know an open God with a closed Bible. Am I talking to somebody here? You can't know an open God with a closed Bible. You must know the word. You must be a student of the word. We have people hooking up. I can see our church in Canada hooking up with us right now. The Lord bless you. Everywhere that they are hooking up to this meeting, the Lord bless you. Am I communicating here? Am I communicating? People tell, I'm a child of God. We are equal in God's sight. That's true. God loves us equally, but treats us differently. See, in salvation, we are all equal. But in our walk with God, we are not equal. Same blood saved us. Same blood washed us. Same spirit dwells within us. But it's not the same volume of fire we command. That all students pay the same school fees, does it make them A-list? The same lecturer lectures them. The same examination is brought before them. But there are some who have a covenant with F. It is a calling. It's like an inheritance. Even if they give them the answer to copy, they will write number 2 as number 4. You are not getting me. Boil the answer inside the pot. Boil the answer. Give them to drink. Before they enter the door, they will urinate. It is. So it's a function of intimacy. Am I talking to somebody here? When you become passionate about God. Anybody that calls you consistently keep calling you. That means an antichrist. You call somebody once, you call somebody twice. I remember one time somebody called me 213 times. My battery died. I was asking myself, am I holding this person's destiny? Restlessness. Not knowing that their emergency should not be your emergency. Intimacy. Am I communicating? Am I communicating? There are two or three things. 2 things that guarantee intimacy, that helps intimacy. Number 1, addiction to his presence. If intimacy must be built up, then you must be addicted to his presence. You must be addicted. Job chapter 1 verse 2, Job chapter 2 verse 7. The Bible says the sons of men came to present themselves before God. The Bible says in Job chapter 2 verse 2 also, when Satan said to God, I'm going to and fro the earth. Psalm 16:11, thou shalt show me the path of life, for in thy presence there is fullness of joy, at thy right hand are pleasures evermore. Psalm 51 verse 11, cast me not away from thy presence, but take not the Holy Spirit from me. Genesis 4:16, how did the disaster of Cain begin? He said, and Cain left the presence of God. Anytime you leave divine presence, you are released to the worst. Acts 3 verse 19 said the time of refreshing shall come from the presence of the Lord. The presence. Psalm 63 verse 19 called a particular angel the angel of his presence. That angel accompanies and backs up everyone who is addicted to divine presence. In the place of prayer, divine presence is broken to 2 dimensions. Your intimacy and prayer time with God, and also the physical appearance in his presence. The physical appearance. All of the theology going on now by so many logical people who are not spiritual and scriptural, telling you that you can serve God at home. No need to go to a physical structure. You can serve God at home. Where did they learn it from? Read Luke chapter 4 from verse 16 down. He said Jesus entered into the synagogue as his custom was. So Jesus was a committed church member. David said in Psalm 84 verse 10, I would rather be a doorkeeper in the house of my God. So it's not about coming only to church, but to be effectively relevant. Anyone who is a member of a church and is not in the workforce is not known by God. Because God knows you from your responsibility. He traces you from your activities. He traces you. What are you doing in the house of God? He traces you from your responsibility. Knows you from your activities. I wish I was communicating here. I wish I was communicating here. What are you doing in the house of God? How addicted. So that guarantees preservation. Do you know? A prophet of God. Isaiah was a monumental, graced prophet. He gave a prophecy. Hezekiah, put your house in order. You shall surely die. Hezekiah said, you can go. Go. He turned to the wall. He said, Lord, the dead can praise you. Remember what I have done in your sight. How I have walked in your house. What is that thing God will remember and guarantee your preservation? What is that thing you have done in the house of God that heaven will see and it becomes a testament for you? It becomes a voice crying up to the heavens. What have you done in God's house? Some of you, if God is to judge you by the disaster you have brought to his house, it will be generational. There are some people, the angel that should be following them is the angel that gives slap. Because of the havoc, the wickedness, how they have polluted the minds of the innocent, how they have messed up the mentality and passion of the sincere. When your mind is not regenerated, you are easily moved, easily swayed, because you have no regenerated mind. Nobody convinces people wrongly. You already have the seed of being wrong. Take your seat. Nobody convinces anybody. You already have the seed inside of you. So you needed a magnet to attract what was already inside. I'm tired of this Christian. I'm going back to the world. Really? Those in the world are tired of the world. See, let me tell you, let me advise you. Some of you became Christians 25 years ago. Some of you became Christians 30 years ago. And now you're thinking of going back to the world. Don't bother. You can't fit in. You left long ago. You are too old now to learn their dance. So just stay in the one you have known for 30 years and just don't think of backsliding. You can't align with them. You cannot align with them. You can't. You'll be surprised that you want to follow them to the club. You'll be speaking in tongues. It's part of you. You'll be surprised they are dancing that their dance, that you are trying to go down. The next year say, somebody say Baba. They say, what do you mean Baba? Because for 30 years you have been used to a different constituency. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised they invite. Say, forget about church, come to the club. You are carrying your singing anointing, going to the club. They say, give us one latest song. The one, let's boogie down. You hold the mic, you won't know what you shout. Kilo leshe alarumi. Kilo. They say, what is that? I can't remember any song that doesn't glory. I am lost. It's too late. It's too late. It's too late. That's what it means to burn the bridge behind you. Any man that put his hand on the plow, Luke chapter 9 verse 62. Any man that put his hand on the plow and looketh back is not fit for the kingdom. Say to yourself, I am fit for the kingdom. In the name of Jesus, say, I am fit for the kingdom. Say, I am fit for the kingdom. I am fit for the kingdom. Passion. Passion in his house. One thing you cannot take from me is passion. Any attack on a man is to break his focus. It's targeted at his focus. When your focus is affected, your destiny is truncated. Focus. You are attacking us, we are planning crusades. Because we are not aware. In our world, the devil doesn't exist. Am I communicating? The devil doesn't exist. You can't stop the devil from working, but make sure he doesn't stop you from working. Am I communicating? Passion. So intimacy, what guarantees intimacy is addiction to his presence And number two thing that guarantees intimacy, we are still talking of intimacy as it concerns preservation. The second thing that guarantees intimacy is consciousness of his coming. Heaven consciousness guarantees intimacy. The day it dawns on you that this world is not your home, you will pray like you are a stranger. When you keep thinking everything ends here, you will pray with that mentality. But the day it dawns on you that this world is not your home, we are living here one day, you will leave your wig behind. You will leave your Brazilian hair, your bone straight, you will leave it. Your makeup kit, you will leave it all. That's your artificial nails, you will leave it. When the trumpet sound, you'll be surprised, your wig will fall, your nails will fall, because those things will not go. You will leave your car. You will leave your house. Just imagine if that was when the trumpet sounded. Would you have made it? Just imagine if that was when Christ came. Would you have made it? You are still here keeping malice with one person that offended you in 1920. You are still here keeping malice with somebody who got you angry before Moses was born. You are still here. When you are conscious of his coming, when you become passionate about heaven, there are certain things you start doing on earth. People think you are losing your mind. You are too conscious of this world. 1 Corinthians 15:19. He says, if only in this world we have hope, we are of all men most miserable. 1 John 3:3 says, he that has this hope in him purifieth himself even as he is pure. Why are you struggling to live holy? It's because you are not thinking heaven. When you start thinking heaven, there are natural things that will lose meaning, lose value, lose taste. Many of people are gathering wealth. Do you remember there was a particular building in Lagos that they found $46 million stacked in an apartment? What kind of madness is that? The man who stacked it there lost it. Nigerians who should know how the money went now lost it. Jeremiah 17:11. As partridge seated on egg and hatcheth it not, so is he that get riches not by right. He shall leave them at the midst of his years, and at the end he shall be a fool. Proverbs 20:21 says, an inheritance may be gotten hastily at the beginning, but the end shall not be blessed. You got your money at the beginning in haste. See the end. When you are conscious of heaven, when it dawns on you that this world is going to pass like a vapor, it is transient, it is ephemeral. The earth passeth like a vapor. A vapor is not tangible. It's in a split second it disappears. That's how this world is. Oh, apostle, stop that. They have been saying Jesus will come. Jesus will come. Even in the days of Paul thought Jesus was to come in his day. That's why in 1 Corinthians 15:51 he said, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, the trump of God shall sound. We which are alive and remain. He thought it would be in his days. Oh, Jesus, you say he will come? Let me say this to you. If Jesus does not come, you may go. For those who have gone, Jesus has come. For those who are gone, Jesus has come. If Jesus doesn't come, you may go. How prepared are you? How prepared are you? How prepared? It helps you. You see a man going to church, a man praying, a man fasting. It's because he's preparing for the home that he's going. Somebody offends him, he says, I forgive you. Somebody does this, he says, I forgive you. Even in the midst of his pain, his anger, he's been upset, he said, God help me. Please help me. I must not miss this place I'm going. When you know where you are going, no matter what happens to you where you are, you refuse to be distracted. Because you are conscious you are going somewhere. Am I talking to somebody here? You have weaknesses and imperfection. Cry to God. Let it not stop where I am going. Imagine you being here from Tuesday, Wednesday morning, Wednesday night, Thursday morning, Thursday night, Friday morning, Friday night, Saturday, and at the end go to hell. What a waste of arrangement. At the end of that, all the sweating, all the dancing, all the praying, all the fasting. 40 days, we just came out of 40 days on the 10th. And at the end of it, God now says, I never knew you. So, who was I praying to in the church? Who was I shouting to? Who was I shouting to? The way you are planning to buy a car, are you planning to see Jesus like that? The passion with which you are planning and saving. Some of us ministers, we have passed all the pastors, all my sons in, raise your hand. All my sons in ministry. Those of them who are here in the crowd. Put it down. We have pastors in their hundreds here. The way you are passionate about ministry, are you passionate about God? As the general overseer of a ministry, God bless you. But what is your passion for that ministry? To grow a church? To hell with crowd. On that day of judgment, there will be no crowd. We shall stand individually. 2 Corinthians 5:10 says we shall all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, that every man will receive what was done in his body, whether it be good or bad. Forget crowd. Forget crowd. Crowd means nothing to me. I've stood before crowds in their hundreds of thousands. I've seen them back to back. But at the end of the day, when I get back to my closet, I'm alone with God. Forget fame. Fame is nothing. In fact, fame is problematic. To be popular is a crime. Your life is taken from you. You are desiring to be known. You are desiring to be known. To be known all over the world is to constantly live a heart of heartbreak and pain. Heartbreak. Heartbreak. Because if other people shout and cough, nobody bothers. But when you cough, it's everywhere. When you understand that, when you understand that, when you understand that, there's nothing in this world. Nothing. Be upstanding.